Good morning. Sitting in my cold and empty and way too quiet aviary. The purpose of this video is to talk about some of the things that I'm thinking about doing for winter projects while the birds are out, in the hopes that somebody with experience with what I'm talking about will be able to give me some good feedback or advice before I make a bunch of mistakes. So if you're new to the channel and you don't know what it looked like before I tore everything apart, this is what it normally looks like. That's the grassy knoll I'm going to refer to in a little bit. And yeah, those are the trees that are laying down behind me. And it's just a total mess, but that's what happens when I have to clean it over the winter. And then here's just looking the other direction real quick. These are the two door locations that I will refer to in a little while. I changed the compost bins just a little bit, but that's what they look like. And then there's the north side door that I'll talk about in a second as well. So let me tell you what I'm thinking about. First of all, the compost bins worked great in the sense that, especially for the parent birds looking for bugs and feeding the chicks. And then I was able to populate it. I just would, shake in some fruit flies and whatever to populate it, but also there was other stuff that was springtails and isopods and things that were living in there. Anyway, so also a bunch of little tiny gnats of some sort. So that was great. What wasn't great was that it's really hard to keep slugs out of the aviary. Tiny ones get in and then they grow and I did not get any of the native slugs, the big banana slugs, but I did get lots of little teeny tiny ones, and they still leave that slime over everything. And then it didn't matter what I did, if I scooped that off or if I tried to mix it in, the birds just would visit the compost less and less and less and less, and they just don't like it. They don't like it on their seed, they don't like it, whatever. So I kept picking them out and trying to keep it clean, and it just, I need to figure that out. So I've tried things like wrapping with copper. There's things about like how to keep them out of gardens and how to keep them out of planters and things like that, but it just doesn't seem to work for me. I'm probably doing something wrong. So I don't know, maybe it was a mistake to embed the, speaking of which, just as an example, see those guys? So I guess not watering doesn't really do anything. I haven't watered in here for for weeks now, and they are happy to live in here anyway. And I don't know, maybe they even, they might even transmit diseases or something as well. So I'm thinking maybe they should be elevated somehow or hung somehow. Gosh, they'd be heavy. Yeah, so there's one thing I'm thinking about. The other thing I would like to do is I'm thinking about taking either this panel or that panel or both and turning them into sliding panels, just like I have on the north side. This is the east side. And one, that would be a little easier for my husband to get to when I'm gone for airflow, but also when that plexiglass is open, then the only thing that's blocking that is hardware cloth and bug screen, and so that's actual direct sunlight that would get in here, and the birds could benefit from that. Everything else is filtered. Actually, everything except those two eaves up there when they are open, that's a southern exposure, and I do get direct sunlight through them as well. But this would be amazing. Like, there's a good chunk of the day in the morning where they would get pockets of actual good sunlight. So I'd like to do that. And that's always risky, adding more holes into the aviary, as if you've been watching videos, you know. But that side has worked great, and I understand how to do it, I think, and I think I can do it. The only thing is, as long as I'm making essentially doors into the aviary, I'm kind of wondering if I should put a screen porch on that side somehow. You know what I really want to do?
I'm going to mute this part out because I want to stay grounded in reality on this one.
Or I could maybe take one of the sort of soffit boards and turn that into a door and put a screen porch adjacent to the entry porch on that side, and that's the western exposure, which would also be great for sun. That would be a lot smaller. It would be like a little, almost like the warming area, but a little outside space. So I'm thinking about that. The reason this would be nice, though, to get more direct sunlight is my next idea. I mentioned a while back that I bought some native grass mix for the Southwest United States. And it's like 8 or 9 different types of grasses. And some of them are in the same family as grasses that grow in Africa, sub-Saharan Africa. And they're drought tolerant, so they don't need to be watered much. And I thought maybe this winter I could plant some, the mix, and let it grow for a couple of months, and then hope it would survive when the birds moved in. And I could maybe even keep it alive, and maybe it even would go to seed. And that might be kind of cool. And I've got a number of places I could put it. So this is one, this area under the gravel. That gravel at the deepest is about 8 inches deep, which is, I think, plenty. And it's right over the drain. So any watering that has to be done, the water will run down the slope and then into the drain. So this area behind me could also be converted into a planter. But I'd have to build in the drainage, because anymore there's no good way. I'd have to really work hard to let the water flow out and down, because it's all been blocked in now. And that would be a big deal. There's insulation under here. So that's a big decision to make. I'm also contemplating doing something different with the roofing panels. I put in that extra layer of greenhouse roofing for insulation when I was thinking this could be a 4-season space. But it's too expensive. It's really expensive to keep it at temperature. So I'd love to figure that out. I was thinking about looking at one of those ductless systems that I could hook up and then run off, can run off the generator if we lose power and whatnot, because I have to think about that as well. But I don't know that that's going to be that much cheaper, to be honest. So, yeah, is that it? I think those are the biggies. First order of business, before I do any of that, is to clean. I've been putting it off because I've been fascinated by my new birds, but I really do need to get going on that. I was just thinking, if I do plant grasses in here, I probably don't want those big dark trees over the top of them. So I'll have to do some rearranging, which I should do anyway. Why not? Yeah. That'll be fun to play around with that. if you have experience with solving these dilemmas or ideas or thoughts that you want to share, for real, I am actually asking for feedback. Because once I start pulling out the framing and shifting the door and putting in whatever, that's a lot, and not to be done thoughtlessly. Yeah. So thanks for watching. Appreciate it.